Hey everyone, welcome back to the Retro Reef, and today we're here to talk about CRT TVs and if they're worth it, and why they're so sought after by retro game collectors. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and you might see me at a hole-in-one in Mario Golf in the middle of filming this. So you're driving around and you see at the curb an old TV. Why do retro gamers want this? Why are they on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, all for $0 or $5, $10? Well, people just want to get rid of them. There's no use for them nowadays except for retro gaming. And why do we want them? A few reasons. To start off, it just is great nostalgia. There's nothing better than turning on an old CRT TV, hearing the static go up on the screen, turning on that Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, whatever retro console you're playing, and seeing it boot up on the old TV. Besides that, there are other bonuses to it. Input lag and visuals, to me, are the biggest things. So let's start with the input lag. You can play a lot of modern day games. For example, Mario Golf. You can play that on a Nintendo Switch online now. And I am a huge Mario Golf fan. I'm also not someone who really cares that much about input lag. I kind of get used to it. But from going from the Nintendo 64 and playing so many hours, knowing how to, time the shot perfectly for the accuracy and the power, and then going to the Nintendo Switch, it's just night and day in input lag. I had to basically reteach myself or retrain myself on when to click the accuracy and power button. And for that, for a lot of people, playing Super Smash, Mario Party, all different types of games, it's a deal breaker for them, right? Whether they're going to continue to play it or not. Just between that, it's a huge difference. When you're playing on a CRT TV, you're connecting directly to that console. So there is virtually no input lag. Playing a game on an emulation or on a newer console with a connector and an adapter, or just playing on Nintendo Switch Online or some other modern day way to play it, there is a big difference. So if that's a big deal to you, that might be why you get a CRT TV, and you see why a lot of retro game collectors and players have it. Another big thing is the visuals. The old school games were made for old TVs. I know, it's super basic, but it really goes a long way. As you're playing a lot of ports today and a lot of newer games or remakes, you will notice that a lot of the screen is stretched, and that's to fit the newer TVs. And TVs nowadays are bigger than they've ever been. They're clearer than they've ever been, more pixels, and it really has to stretch, and it creates a more pixely feeling that may not have been there on the older TVs. And that's because it's stretching to the correct resolution. Well, the older games and the older consoles on this old TV, they go hand in hand, so there's not as much, if any, stretch at all. The one thing, though, is the scan lines. To me, that's more nostalgia, as you're seeing the little fuzzy sometimes on the TV, but it just fits perfectly on the TV, and the graphics go hand in hand with the TV. You really can't fix graphics, right? If a game design had poor graphics back in the day, it has poor graphics, even if it's upscaled to modern day TV. But playing poor graphics, or just playing graphics that were good at the time on a CRT TV, it just fits it. It's just the style. It all goes together, and that's another reason why you might get it. And it just aesthetically looks more pleasing on an old school TV, and it's just fun to fire it up and play it on there versus playing it on a more modern day version or way to play it. Now, you might be saying, yes, there are ways to do it. You can play on with an adapter, or you can play on game mode. I'll start with the adapter. I picked up one of these adapters. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a very cheap one off Amazon, $5, $10. I don't use it anymore. It worked well for what it was for, but I had input lag from it, and it just was a pain. I would have to unplug and replug consoles into it constantly, and you might have to do it with CRT TV, but I don't have much of an explanation besides it was just a pain, and it stretched to the TV, and it just created input lag that wasn't necessary. So having an old CRT TV kind of fixed a lot of this. The other thing is game mode. So a lot of TVs now have game mode. And game mode definitely limits input lag, and it definitely fixes a little bit of the graphics. You can also make the screen look smaller on modern day TVs to fit the resolution, which fixes a lot of that issues. But then again, you're going to have those black bars on the side of the actual display and the game itself. So if you don't want that, you kind of have to live with it if you're going to fix the resolution from that perspective. And game mode, while it does help the input lag and help some of the situations going, and playing on modern day TVs and modern day ways to play it, like the Switch, it doesn't completely fix it. There's still lag. There's still issues with it. So those might be reasons why you want to pick up a CRT TV. Now, what consoles look best? In my opinion, and these are the ones I play the most, are the Nintendo 64, SNES, NES, PS1, Sega Genesis, and Sega Master System. There are other ones that look great on it, but to me, these are just the ones I play the most. They are the ones that I just think look the best on it. And while you can say yes, an Xbox, a PS2, a GameCube, they do have that fun feel to them of playing on an old TV. But in my opinion, any upscales, remakes, remasters just look better on a newer console, and you don't have as many input issues as you do with playing these older style consoles. So this all sounds great, but why would you not get a CRT TV? I don't have as many negatives that outweigh the positives in my opinion. That said, the negatives to me are just a big reason of why you wouldn't get it. And the biggest thing is it's just heavy and takes up space. It's funny, a lot of TV stands, I didn't even think about this, a lot of them couldn't even fit or hold a CRT TV. My CRT TVs, I basically have backed up against the wall just to be safe because it's a narrow TV stand. A lot of TV stands aren't the big ones they used to be, the big entertainment systems. People did away and got rid of them. It just creates a hazard, right? They can fall. They're heavy. The stand might not be able to hold it. It's not even just the stand. It's carrying them. Now, you might be in your forever home. You might not want to ever move. You might be in a space and have extra room, and that's fine. And you should get a CRT TV. If that's where you think, you want it and you don't want to move it and you really want one, it's great. But if you have any moving going on, it is a huge pain. You usually need two people. It's just, even if they're not heavy enough and you're strong enough to carry it, they're usually so big where they're awkward, where it's like heavy enough and awkward enough where it's better to have someone else help you do it. And it's just a pain. I remember in college, we picked up an old plasma screen TV. It was free. We didn't have money at the time and we shouldn't have done it, but we did it. And it was huge. And it took 4 of us to carry it with the stand. And the stand itself was so heavy. And I know that's an extreme case, but it's similar with the CRT TVs nowadays. They're just, like I said, it usually takes 2 people to carry one. And on top of that, it takes up space. Most people don't want this TV in their family room or living room. Usually they have a game room, or they'll have a closet they can store it in and take it out if they don't mind picking it up every time. And that's the thing, it just takes up space. It's big, it's clunky, and it's heavy. So you just have to have a space for it. And if you don't have that dedicated space for it, it's not worth it. The next thing is they're a pain to get rid of. There's a reason you're seeing them free everywhere online. Most people are not retro gamers and big gamers that are getting rid of these. But if a bulb goes out on one, if it just breaks, if there's something going wrong with the screen, most places I know around me, you can't just throw it out. I have to pay to have someone get rid of it. So that is a big thing that you need to consider, is once you're with it, you're kind of stuck with it and you have to go out of your way to get rid of it at one of those like old electronic drop-offs or something like that and pay to get rid of it. And the last thing with these is you might be able to get these free and get a great deal on it, and that's awesome. But if you don't have the physical hardware already, it's something you need to take in consideration. If you want a GameCube nowadays, the prices are outrageous. N64, Genesis, they're all climbing in value, and that's with the games themselves. So while you might be saving money on the TV, you have to take into account the price it's going to be for the console and the games to go with it to play on the TV itself. So at the end of the day, do you really need a CRT TV? Probably not. That said, do I recommend it? I think it's personal preference. I think it comes down to if you have the space for it and you find one for free and you have the consoles already, I say go for it. It's worth the experience. That said, unless you fall within that criteria, I think you can pass. I think there's a lot of modern day ways to play these, and I just think as long as you're playing the retro games themselves and enjoying it how you want to enjoy it, what's easiest for you, I think that's the way to go. So that's it, guys. Thanks for taking a few minutes here to talk a little bit about CRT TVs. Let me know in the comments, do you have one? Do you want one? Do you think it's stupid? Do you really enjoy having one? I know I love mine, even though I don't play all of them that often, but I love it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and thanks for listening, guys.